Hey everybody, Chris Hayre with you on a new episode of Chargers Weekly. Coming up, defensive tackle Brandon Mebane joins me from the team's second annual Golf Invitational. We discuss the start of his 13th NFL season and his role as leader and captain of the defense. But first, we're going to check in with the LA Times' Jeff Miller to talk OTAs and his recent piece on Chargers All-Pro cornerback Desmond King. All right, on the line, my guy Jeff Miller from the LA Times. And Jeff, off-season starting to pick up, man. I saw you twice this week. Monday for OTAs day one, and then Tuesday at the Chargers Golf Invitational. How are you, bud?
I'm doing very good. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I think we should start with OTAs. I want to get into your Desmond King piece that you did a fantastic job on last week. We'll re-up that, but let's start with OTAs. Just your takeaways from the first day. We heard Coach Lynn speak. We heard Gus speak. Austin, and I believe Joey Bosa. So a lot of action on Monday.
Yeah, it was good to see Joey back out there. It's the first time we've seen him this offseason. And he predictably looked good. I think everybody is pretty familiar with Joey. He's got a regimen he goes through with a trainer in Florida, and I'm sure him and his brother were involved this time around, Nick Bosa. So he looked great. He sounded good. I think he's fired up like most of the Chargers are right now, and things off season, but things seem to be going according to plan so far.
Yeah, Coach Lynn brought us something interesting on Monday about how he gives the veterans a lot of ownership on this team to coach some of the younger guys. And this is the first time these guys are putting on helmets. They're, almost 90 guys on the field at the same time. This is the time when vets are really going to prove their worth in the offseason, helping these younger guys along.
There's no doubt about that. And I think you heard Anthony the other day say, when someone asked him a little bit about that, he mentioned the fact that, hey, these guys speak the same language, to some of these players. I mean, Anthony's more, twice as old as some of these guys. And while I don't think Anthony's out of touch by any stretch of the imagination, I think he was kind of jokingly calling himself like an old guy.
Yeah.
But if you're a young guy coming in the league and you've got somebody who's been in the league 10 years, 12 years, or even you have Darwin James, if you're one of these draft picks coming in, or you're an unsigned guy coming in, and there's Darwin James, who everyone knows what he did last year, you're gonna listen to that guy, right? I mean, these guys are gonna listen to their coaches, certainly, but these players speak the same language, and these veterans are at where these new guys want to get to. So they would be crazy not to listen to them. So I think it's smart, and I think the Chargers, as we know, have some, this roster right now is in a really good spot. I think they've got some good young talent, and they've got some veteran players who are very well spoken, who are leaders on the field, off the field, who have achieved both, and they have them on both sides of the ball, which is great. And so I think right now this roster is in a really good spot. I think Tom Telesco, the GM, has done a good job putting this thing together. And I think that the coaching staff is doing a smart thing. I mean, they're letting these players do some of the coaching too. And I think to not do that would be, they'd really be wasting a great resource.
You mentioned a guy like Darwin James. I mean, he's a perfect example of a guy who, in talking to Coach Miles this week, he's a player they're expecting to take that next step in terms of leadership. But also, Brandon Mebane, year 13, who's going to be on the podcast here a bit later. Thomas Davis, year 15. I don't feel like I talked about this as much as I have this year, how much the veterans are impacting some of these young guys, and even guys who have been on the roster for a few years, frankly. I mean, the youngest players on this team, they have to get in the playbook. They have to get familiar with their surroundings. And I feel like this team has done such a fantastic job of being in lockstep with these rooks.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And one thing about this that you can't underestimate or undersell is the success the team had last year. This, pro sports is about winning. And this team won last year. And when the team is winning and the feeling is that they're on the rise, which there's no question around them. That's the feeling around this team. I don't think anybody associated with this team, anybody who observes this team, thinks of these guys as anything other than a contender in the conference. I mean, everybody's looking at them as one of the top teams in the conference, and that certainly helps that culture. And that it's like anything, Chris. If we're really successful in our job and we talk about it, people are more likely to listen to what we're saying than if we're terrible at what we're doing.
That's right.
And we lose and we're not winning, and no one wants to listen to that. So it certainly helps. I mean, the culture, the environment is there right now for this team, and like I said, I mean, the roster is it's really put together well. And if these guys, I think if they can stay healthy and keep this thing rolling through the off season, get into training camp, keep everybody healthy, and keep most of the guys healthy. Let's be honest, they're not all going to stay healthy. We know we're going to be talking about injuries here. It's football. It happens. But if they can keep most of these guys healthy, and this team's in a good spot, and you have all those veteran guys. You mentioned Mebane as a great example. We saw him last year, and the leadership that he showed with his situation with his daughter and everything was it was really great to watch. And these young, I imagine a guy like Jerry Tillery. I mean, he could sit there and talk to Mebane all day, I'm sure. Jerry is a very inquisitive guy. I think we've already learned that quickly about him, and I'm sure he's had long conversations with some of these veterans already, and it's only going to help him as he tries to get acclimated to playing in the NFL and what that means. And hopefully, for the Chargers' sake, he blossoms into what they think he could be and why they took him in the first round.
Yeah, Tillery's in good hands with Mebane and Damian Square, and even Justin Jones, a guy who Square commented how explosive Jones looks from year one to year two. So Tillery's in a good spot. And Desmond King is somebody that Coach Miles said last week, he's coaching up these undrafted free agents on how to play the nickel position. So, just 2 years ago, he was in their same position as a rookie. He's now a first-team All-Pro. And you wrote an awesome piece on Desmond. And if you guys haven't read it, please go to the LA Times and look up Jeff's piece on Desmond. First thing I have to ask you, the Polaris slingshot, do you have images of you in a helmet in the Polaris slingshot?
I don't have pictures of me, thankfully. I do have pictures of Des, which for some reason they didn't use. I don't know why they didn't, but I do have pictures of him sitting in it without his helmet on. But thankfully there's no, as far as I know, there's no actual footage of me sitting with a helmet. I'm sure we looked a little goofy, the two of us rolling around the streets of Irvine in that thing the other day, but it was fun.
So, Jeff, Desmond King is obviously a guy who was a fifth-round pick, Jim Thorpe Award winner. He has a nose for the football, and he elevated his play in 2018, first-team All-Pro. What was it like to spend some time with Des as he enters year three?
Well, the one thing I will say, Chris, is to understand, I think we all know, anybody who's spent any time around Desmond, he is a thoughtful guy. He's very, very genuine, very down to earth. I think he comes from Detroit. He wasn't highly recruited out of high school. He kind of he has had to make himself every step of the way. And to give you an idea of the kind of background he's got, so I wrote that story. The next day, I get a message from his mother thanking me for writing this great story about her son. Wow. So, yeah, this is an NFL player who's had a ton of attention going back to, you mentioned, wins the Jim Thorpe Award at Iowa. But that's the kind of family I think he comes from in the background. And, his brother, he's got a younger brother who's autistic, who they live together. They've lived together for years. And Des and I talked a little bit about that. And he talked about how cool it is to have his brother with him. And how much he enjoyed spending time with his older brother and his mother this off season. They all went to Miami and spent like a week together down there after the Super Bowl and after the season, and they rehashed the year. And, this is a young professional athlete, and he's talking about how great it was to hang out with his mom in Miami.
So cool.
That's pretty cool, right? I mean, that's, there's a lot of athletes go down to Miami and get in a lot of trouble. Well, Des is down there hanging with his brothers and his mom, and he's loving it. So I think he's really down to earth guy, and I think he's a real normal guy, and he is kind of, as I said, sort of made himself through a lot of hard work, and he's obviously talented, and he's got like a knack for plays, a knack for getting the ball, a knack for coming through in the biggest moments, and he was directly involved in some of the wins they had last year. There's no question. You can go right to plays that he made late in games or turning games around with the punt return or a couple of interceptions he had in Cleveland. He's one of those guys, and there's a few of them on this team that you meet, you talk to a little bit, and you end up rooting for these guys because they're just easy to root for.
You know what I love about Dez is the relationship that he has with his brother. I got to meet his brother at the draft party. They both came to the draft party in Santa Monica, and he's an amazing artist. Did you get to see some of the pictures that his brother has drawn?
I have seen some of it. He's really good. He's really good. And it's cool how he a lot of it is Dez, from Dez playing and some of the images and, and then it's cool that Dez talks about him being an inspiration, Devin, his brother, being an inspiration to him. And that's pretty cool. So it's like they inspire each other, which is really a neat thing for two brothers. And he's a very talented artist. There's no doubt about it.
Jeff, this secondary, every single year, Coach Milas has had a Pro Bowler or an All-Pro. And last year it was Darwin, it was Desmond, and it was Adrian Phillips. How much better do you think this secondary can be, knowing that all those guys return? You're bringing a guy like Nasir Adderley, the development of guys like Trevor Williams, who was hurt last year, and Michael Davis entering his third season. The secondary, this could be their prime in 2019.
You're exactly right. I think they're poised to have a great season. I think that cornerback spot opposite Casey Hayward is going to be big, and that's Mike Davis right now. And Trevor Williams, who obviously started in the NFL before, he's there. Those two will be competing. I think that's going to be a big spot, is so long as one of those two guys emerges, and or in the case of Trevor, reemerges and can handle that spot. The thing about the secondary, as we all know, is I don't want to say they're interchangeable parts because that sort of sounds like you're diminishing their impact, but there's a lot of versatility there, and it allows them to do things like they did last year, playing a bunch of those guys at once. And so I think their defense has got a lot of talent on it. A lot of it's in that secondary, and I think they have a chance to be really good. And I think we've already, the other day here, we're starting to hear this theme. I think we're going to hear a theme this season of takeaways, and they want to try to increase their takeaways, interceptions causing fumbles and that kind of stuff. And I think if they can do that, a lot of that's going to come from that secondary. If they can, I think that's going to be a focus. If they can seize on that focus, they're going to really have a chance to influence a ton of games.
Yeah, the first two picks tell you everything you need to know. Jerry Tiller, you bring in a guy that can rush the quarterback, and then Nasir Adderley, a guy who can get the football and take it the other way, similar to Darwin, similar to Desmond King, similar to Casey Hayward. So, listen, there's a long way to go, right? We're in the middle of May, the end of May here. We got mini camp coming up, but I always appreciate your time. I will see you next week at OTAs. Enjoy the weekend, man, and we'll talk soon.
I look forward to it. Thanks a lot, Chris. Appreciate it.
All right, Bolts fans, before we get to Brandon Mebane, I want to remind you to enter the Jack Boys Jersey Giveaway Sweepstakes for a chance to win an autographed jersey signed by all the defensive backs. You're also going to be able to meet them at training camp this summer. Go to chargers.com/jackboys to enter. That's Jackboys with a Z. JACKBOYZ. No purchase necessary to enter or win. This promotion ends on June 14th. See official rules for details at chargers.com/jackboys-rules. All right, here at the Chargers Golf Tournament with defensive tackle Brandon Mebane, the captain. Brandon, how are you, man?
Doing pretty good. How you doing?
There's a rumor that there's no golf cart for you?
Yeah,
What's
man.
going on?
I don't know. They were saying I was too good, so they was like, we don't want you to show all the
We want you
sponsors
to walk.
up.
We want you to walk the course.
Yeah, they didn't want me to show all the sponsors up, so I was like, all right, it's all good. It's all good.
Are you a big golfer?
I golf here and there. One of the things I got to work on is my turning the stick.
Okay.
When I hit it, a lot of times it curves to the right instead of going straight. So got to work on that.
Is there any transferable skill on the football field to golf? Like in terms of like mental preparation, or
I think one of the 4 elements you can use with any sports is eyes, hands, feet, and leverage. I'm pretty sure that all those go with golfing.
Yeah.
So I think that's universal. I think those are all universal.
I heard your name a ton last week from one rookie in particular, Cortez Broughton.
Oh yeah.
He said he got hooked up with you through was it Greg Scruggs?
Greg Scruggs. Yeah.
One of your guys
right.
from Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And he said first day he was arranging his notes, and you said, all right, this looks good,
yeah,
but I need you to do it a certain way.
Yeah.
And he said, when do you need it by? He says, you say tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
He came in with a more easier to understand set of notes. And it's just like one of many examples of you just giving back to these young guys.
Well, the thing is, you always want to go into the meetings with your notes prepared. Anytime a coach, our defensive line coach, might ask any of us, me included, to get up on the board and draw up a certain type of defense. Just the front. You don't have to draw the linebackers and coverage.
Sure.
But the challenge is that present to us is make sure you know everything that's going on around you, because you never know. Somebody might be on the field and they might have a brain fart or something. You might be like, hey, what was that play? What I do? And you tell them, and there you go. Instead of having a mental error on the field, then just put them in the right place and tell them what to do, and you can move on from there.
I appreciated the foresight of Cortez to get with you before this thing even started, right? Because first day to get your notes like that, just again, it's just one example of what it takes to be a professional in this league.
Right. Like I said, time management, taking the right notes, and being able to understand what you're writing too, because a lot of times you can take notes and write notes, but it's only easier for you to understand. So it's always good to write the notes so everybody else can understand, just in case, coach want to, hey, when you check your notes out, what you written down, and, you have them all in one category and organized. And it also just help you learn the playbook easier by writing it out instead of looking at the digital copy on your iPad.
One guy who hadn't seen the field yet, but will eventually, is Jerry Tillery, the rookie. Your initial impressions of him coming in here?
He's a smart guy. Everything else is pretty much a wait and see. I think he could play football. He's a big guy, got big hands. Got a lot of upside. So I think everybody's anxious to see how he's gonna pan out and do on the field.
Yeah. Talking to Damian Square last week about the defensive line room, he said this is Mebane's room, but it's a room where everybody has a voice.
Right.
Everybody can talk about whatever is on their minds.
Right.
How do you kind of police the room, being the elder statesman there?
Well, I don't really police the room, but I think if we ever have any type of conversations, our defensive line coach, he always open to different topics, whatever is going on in the world, whether it's politics, financial advice, marriage advice, family advice. We all, just talk about those different things. And I think our position coach pretty much he do the policing.
He does the policing.
But I'm just the oldest guy in there.
Yeah.
So, but we have a great group of guys, and they all all willing to learn and to try to get better and understand football.
And it's a good mix of guys too, right? I mean, someone like yourself, a captain, won a Super Bowl. You've been there. You've been to the top of the mountain.
I've been there twice.
You've been there twice.
Yep.
Damian Square, a veteran who had to fight and make this league as an undrafted free agent, who's been there, who leads by example.
Right.
You got young Justin Jones,
who
Damian was talking about his explosiveness and how he's
Right.
gotten better from year one to year two.
He's getting a lot better.
It's a nice mix of guys that of old and young,
Right.
all coming together
Right.
for what could be a big year for you guys.
I think it can. I think the main thing is, what we learned from last year is we all depend on each other. So when one guy make a play, fans or the commentators might not see that the guy next to him helped him make that play. So if he don't do his job and the guy next to him don't do his job, then that sack or that tackle for loss will never happen. So I don't think a lot of people don't really understand what guys do down low. If you're not making an interception, sacks, or making plays that is visual, they won't really actually understand. Like my position, a lot of people wouldn't really understand what I do. They'll be like, "Oh, why they bring him back here a waste?" But a lot of people don't understand what I do on the field. Like it's not a sexy position. It's not a position that's going to get a lot of sacks. Sometimes you might not get a lot of tackles. Sometimes I may get a lot of tackles depending on how I'm getting
setting other
blocked that
people up
game.
for it, though.
Exactly. So, it just all depends on whichever type of team we running it against or playing against. It'd be maybe you have one of those games. It's just wait and see.
Yeah. You have a unique perspective, though, because you've been in Super Bowl programs, right?
Right.
This is year 3 of Coach Lynn. You go from 9-7 to 12-4. You win a playoff game. You lose to the Pats. But you're trending upwards. And one of the things that really resonated with me that he said yesterday is that he coaches the vets to coach the younger guys.
Right.
He wants you guys to have ownership of this team.
Right.
Is this the type of culture that is capable of winning it all?
I think so. I think is when he said is he let the older guys coach the younger guys. It's kind of like I don't know if a lot of people are familiar with this. It's like a Montessori term method, to where it's like Montessori, where you might be in a classroom with a 3, 4, 5, and 6-year-olds. So the 5 and 6-year-olds kind of get it, and they will help the younger kids that 3 and 4 or 2 that's about to turn 3. And they'll help them, become better at whatever project they're working on. And then it becomes just a trickle effect. Where those 2-year-olds become 5 and 6, then they'll help those 2 and 3-year-olds. So
it's interesting.
It's pretty much what it is. It's always about just giving back, because it was a lot of older guys that helped me, become this. I took something from a lot of guys that I played with. Who are the guys
that you took from?
I took from Chuck Darby, Rocky Bernard, Corey Redden, Raheem Brock.
It's all in Seattle, right?
Yeah, Kevin Williams. Man, the list go on and on. But those are some of the few guys that helped me a lot. Even like Lofa. Lofa said something to me on the field my rookie year. He was just like, "Man, Mebane, stop thinking and play." And just that little bit right there, he told me, it just made sense, and I was like, "Whoa, okay." And
it clicked.
It clicked, and just for year on and year out, I just kept taking something from each guy that came there, because we used to get a lot of people, that older guys used to come in, and those are the guys that actually help build into winning championships. Even though they probably weren't on the team, but they actually helped build championship because we took information from them and applied it to what we was trying to accomplish.
Well, what's interesting about that, too, is you're adding another guy in Thomas Davis
to
the culture here, year 15.
Yeah, he older than me.
He's been to a Super Bowl. Exactly, he's older than you.
Yeah.
But to have you two on the defense to just impart knowledge on these younger guys, and even guys who have been in the league for a while.
Yes, exactly. You always
you guys
learn
know what it's like.
Yeah, you always can learn. I'm still learning new things in year 13. So it's just a blessing to just still be able to play this game. And I was a 3rd rounder, so it wasn't like I was a 1st rounder.
Sure.
So everybody was like, "Yeah, he's kind of pretty much expected." You going 3rd round, they like, eh.
What year were you? 07 or 08?
I was 2007.
2007, that's right.
3rd round, 85th pick. Probably not. It was a good day, and it was like a bad day, because I was, in my mind, I thought I should have been a 1st rounder or a 2nd rounder, and it didn't happen. So, so when I got drafted, it was 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round in one day.
And it was on a Saturday instead of a Thursday.
Yeah, it was on a Saturday, and so I was like, 9 a.m. Okay, yeah, we're going to the first round.
Draft party.
Let's go. And so, man, I had, family at the house and everything. And it just, I went to a couple places, the phone still didn't ring. And finally, Seattle called, and I didn't think Seattle liked me because when I did the meeting at the Combine, they told me everything that I didn't do that they didn't like I did. So I was like, oh, check that off. I'm not going there.
Process, man. You just never know.
Yeah, so, I didn't think I was going there, and it worked out, man. Worked out real well.
I'd say so. And, talking to Cortez, I talked to Cortez for a long time last week, and one of the things that I said to him is that, once you come in here, it doesn't matter if you're a 7th-round pick. It doesn't matter if you're a 3rd-round pick.
Can you play football?
Can you play football?
It don't matter what your 40 time is.
No.
Don't matter how much you bench. Because, I remember Cortez asked me how much I bench in the weight room. And I told him, I said, I really don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what I did in college. So I couldn't tell him.
7th round, though. Just look at the history of the last 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Justin Jackson comes in, helps you guys win 2 big games in prime time.
Exactly.
Isaac Rochelle steps in for Joey Bosa.
Exactly.
7th round picks the last 2 years. So it's like you have an opportunity to not only make the team, but make an impact.
Yeah, that definitely gives a credit to the staff, man, to the organization, that they're very precise on who they draft and how they draft and when they draft. So that's pretty much a thumbs up, and on their part that they got value in the 7th round. They got good players there. So that's real good on their part.
Absolutely.
Very good.
Final thing for you, Brandon, just going into 2019, knowing it's year 13 for you.
Right.
The talent on this defense, the talent on this offense,
Right.
Building off of last year, the expectations have to be as high as they've ever been for you in your career.
I think they're always high, no matter what year it is. I think the expectations is very high because even though we went 12-4 last year, we still feel like we could have won some of them games that we lost, and we was right there in those games that we lost. So we felt like we could have.
That first Denver game, I think, back to.
Yeah. So we lose as a team, you win as a team, and we ready to build on all that.
All right, we're trying to figure out if you're playing golf. Are you playing golf?
It doesn't look like it.
Because all the golf carts have left.
It doesn't look like it, but at the end of the day, it's all good.
You got your shoes just in case if you're ready, though.
Yep, I'm ready. Yep.
Brandon, always appreciate your time, man. It's a joy to talk to you, and we wish you the best this offseason and beyond.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, guys, that's going to do it. My thanks to Brandon Mebane and Jeff Miller for joining me. And, of course, thanks to you all for listening. If you like what you hear this offseason, we'd love it if you left us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Please help spread the word. Have a great weekend, and until next time, I'm Chris Hayre.